Michigan State came off a lot of injuries, a lot of young players. I think at this point, Michigan State's trying to find their flow and find what starting lineup is really going to get them over the hump.
Spartans in the road green, Ohio State in the home white, and away we go from Columbus. Sparty controls the tip. Here is Moira Joyner wearing number 22, her second start of the season. McMahon's first opportunity won't go, but the freshman got the putback.
That's the pace that Ohio State absolutely wants to play with. I mean, she got the rebound off of the net and just went full court. Nobody stepping in front of her.
The lone freshman in the starting lineup this year for Kevin McGuff picks off the pass and gets it back to the Buckeyes.
Again, forcing almost 28 turnovers and so active in their press. Second line of defense there, being able to get the steal.
They have forced 20 or more turnovers in all 9 games this season as Taylor Theory has a chance at a three-point play.
Really good movement, penetration by Madison Green and Taylor Theory, who has really come on strong, getting in there and one.
Averaging 11 points per game this season, Nazen came off the bench all of last year. Now starting in her 10th consecutive game, has really made a sophomore leap.
She has, and we talked to Coach McGuff about her in shoot-around and just about how she's a student of the game and she wants to get better. She wants to learn, and she has some great veterans around her who is definitely helping.
Matilda Eck off the back iron. Gabby Elliott with the putback. No. Alexander, a third opportunity.
It will be a great matchup during this game between her and Mikolashikova.
Gabby Elliott tracks down the miss. Elliott back down to Alexander, making her second consecutive start, injected into the starting lineup against Purdue. And as you talked about, Susie Merchant really excited about her impact.
Absolutely. I mean, you see she gets the and one, doesn't convert, but then goes back in and she's posting hard. She's really aggressive inside for State.
Knocks it down in transition. Those are the shots you wanted to see from Matilda Eck.
Exactly. Once you break the press, what do you do next? Are you getting the shots to your best players? And that is someone who is dangerous behind the arc.
Michigan State's second leading scorer this year. Here's Taylor Mikesell, and she drops in her first shot. The leading scorer this year for the Buckeyes in her second season transferring over from Oregon.
Look, I would doubt that Coach Merchant is upset about that. They ran her off the three-point line, made her shoot the floater. I mean, she's known for her three-point shooting, so.
McMahon, coast to coast, up and under, and scoops it off the window.
Someone has to find her in transition. She is full throttle ahead every time she gets the ball.
Joyner tried to save it. McDaniel keeps it alive. McDaniel, the leading scorer for Michigan State.
And that's something that you never want to lose games because of free throws. They're free. I've heard that my entire life. They're free. You have to take advantage of them. It's too quiet or it's too loud, and that's no reason to miss the free throws, but it's something that has always been harped on.
Mikesell, that's a three.
That's almost automatic for her.
She has been a knockdown shooter this year, over 40% from distance. And today up to 5 points. McDaniel through traffic, won't go.
That was a great pass out of the trap, a great bucket. Just has to finish that layup, but those, again, are the type of plays that you want to see executed after breaking the press.
McMahon! So a reversal on the floor, initially called a charge. And instead, it's a blocking foul against Iselin Alexander, so it sends McMahon to the line.
Alexander was set, but seems to be inside of the restricted area, which caused for the reversal.
7-0 run for the Buckeyes. Joyner promptly ends that with a three. And it's a one-point game.
Executing after the press. every single time is going to be essential.
And Joyner picks off the pass. Transition three. Yes!
And she is feeling it from the same exact spot with the steal into the three.
Meixel responds with a triple of her own.
She can answer, right? She can answer, and she does in the same spot she hit hers earlier.
So 2 threes in the game now for Taylor Meixel. Theory tried to pick it off, and Joyner gets it out to Eck. Kevin McGuff wanted a 10-second violation. And that time she's rejected by Alexander. A good closeout. Now McMahon, a three, rims out. Eck off the bounce, and she's whistled.
To get the Spartans really going.
It's a Michigan State team that's still sort of looking, as you pointed out in the open, Naz, for that right rotation, that right second score as Ricky Harris knocks down a triple. And if you let your guard down against this Ohio State team, just about anybody on the floor can hit from deep.
Absolutely anybody. You got a couple from Meixel, and Ricky Harris wants to jump in on the fun.
Joyner. Heat check. Rebound Alexander.
What they do in their press, but also their ability to score from just about any position.
They are one of the highest scoring teams in the country. Here is Madison Green. Remember, she missed all of last year with that injury. They love having her back in the lineup. The orchestrator of this high-powered offense. And she draws a foul on the drive. It'll go against Stephanie Vischer.
Probably, maybe until the half, until after the half.
Would you sit her until halftime?
I think it really depends on what the score is like, what the flow of the game is. If you don't need to, she didn't actually. she would leave me on the bench.
She knew better.
And I'd be sitting down there puppy dog eyeing her.
Here is Tori Osment, ripped away. Green trying to keep it alive and does. Picked up by Ebony Walker.
Listen, from experience, Madison Green has some of the fastest hands ever. She just gets it in there, whether she's tipping it or stealing it.
Taylor Meixel has one of the fastest shots out there as well. Missed on that attempt. Already has a couple of threes in this game. For Michigan State, they only had 13 turnovers in that overtime loss to Purdue. But there have been stretches, Naz, throughout the early goings of this season where the ball has just seemed to fly all over the arena for Michigan State.
It has, and that is something that they...
Both teams in the bonus the rest of this first quarter.
I was going to mention there's been quite a lot of fouls in this game. Good thing both of these teams feel like they're deeper this season, so they can continue to bring players off of the bench.
Well, we've seen Susie Merchant play 12 players in a game pretty regularly so far this year.
She has, and again, with the switching of the starting lineup, I really do think she's trying to find that flow. Who's going to give you the best production with which group? And then I think once she figures that out, she'll cut it down at least a little bit, especially in Big Ten play.
No, and a good rebound from Julia Ayrault. There's Gabby Elliott. A couple of transfers in this year for Sparty, coming over from Clemson. Ayrault a three. And Fisher picks up the foul. That is her second. And such a dynamic player in her first year on campus. Might be even better this year in spite of coming off that knee injury.
She is really coming into herself, finding her footing again. Sometimes it's hard, and you don't ever want to say it's a benefit to being injured, but you get to see on the sideline. You get the bird's eye view, the coach's eye view of what coach needed or what the team needed last year from you and being able to implement it into the game.
2-point game, 2 minutes left in the opening quarter here in Columbus.
Opportunity for players who would not have necessarily gotten some of the minutes that they will now to grow, so that by the time she's back on the floor, this Ohio State team is even stronger, which is crazy to think about considering what they've produced. But it gives some players some breathing room to get better, to develop, But obviously, Ohio State does miss her.
Had some huge games against Tennessee, against Louisville. 2 ranked wins already this year for Kevin McGuff and Ohio State. He wrestles away the offensive board, and a second opportunity on this trip for Michigan State. Halleck whistled for the travel.
Which you can't set up your defense for. It's very difficult to stay in a game like this when you are causing so many of your turnovers.
Theory rolls it off the window. First made field goal in the last 3.5 minutes for Ohio State, and the lead is back to 6.
Just a straight line drive there. She sized it up and saw an open lane and took it.
Picked off. Green up ahead to Theory. Off the window, and it rolls down. Back-to-back buckets for Taylor Theory. Travel. You talked about it, Naz, in the open. This is an Ohio State team that is turning over opponents almost 28 times per game. There are teams in the country that are really good that don't do that in 2 games.
You are exactly right. Something about the way that they play in their press. Michigan State has to settle in and find the best shot and really
kind of sped you guys up. How did you
set some play up to make sure that everybody was in the exact spot that they needed to be in and just slow the game down? I mean, Ohio State wants to score a ton of points, but if you can combat that by slowing the game down, it makes a difference.
8-0 run for the Buckeyes, and Madison Green holding for the final shot in the quarter. To Theory, and right to the basket. 3 straight buckets for Taylor Theory. And Ohio State ends the quarter on a 10-0 run. They lead it by 12.
Interesting. Who's back on the floor?
Rebecca Mikolashikova with 2 fouls. Wearing number 23 for Ohio State, and a travel. 2 fouls for Eck, 2 fouls for Vischer, both on the bench to start the quarter for Michigan State.
I like this position. They could have kicked it ahead, but no one knows if it would have been a steal for Ohio State. Set something up. Get your shooters in place.
Here is McDaniel on the drive, and a really tough shot hanging in the air through contact.
On that possession, it looked like Michigan State got exactly what they wanted out of that play. What you need, obviously, coming out in the quarter, but they needed it for the possessions of this game as well.
We're on the wrong end of a 10-0 run at the end of that first quarter. McDaniel in the lane. And the runner won't go that time. Osment turns it around. And a third opportunity for Elliott. Rebound Mikolashikova.
Just couldn't get one to go on that possession. All 3 of those players really trying to get in there, make something happen.
Contested shots, but nonetheless right around the rim. And that's the other thing Susie Merchant said. It's not just the free throws, but the quote-unquote layups that have plagued this team in tight games.
Yes, and those hurt. Right around the basket, you feel like you can make those 9 out of 10 times, maybe 10 out of 10 times. In the midst of this, and you just feel like nothing's going down for you, you have to find some way to get the ball in the basket.
McMahon missed it all. Here comes McDaniel.
We're seeing this pace that both of these teams like to play with. Obviously, neither of them scoring, not being able to set up their press.
McMahon, the kick out. Just the second miss of the game for Taylor Theory, now 4 of 6. Maria McDaniel just 2 points on 1 of 4. She scored 22 or more in the last 3 games.
Yes, she talked about just getting into her groove, obviously coming off an injury. This is a new team for her, finding her footing within the team. What does Coach Merchant want? A lot of things that she had to think about. she said that she didn't play at her best when she's thinking. When she's just playing and just controlling her body and doing what she does best is when she's at her best. And I think we'll see a little bit more of that throughout the season, of course. But she needs to find this right now in order for this Michigan State team to get back into it.
McMahon coughs it up. Theron Halleck checks in for Michigan State. Has the ball now. Isel and Alexander also back in, wearing number 12 in green. Joyner rims it out.
I would have loved to be in the MSU huddle coming out of the first to know if they are slowing down the game on purpose. I feel like we've come down to their offensive end and they're really getting into their sets.
Ohio State has not yet scored in this quarter. 16 of their 29 points off of turnovers as Mika Lashikova had it altered by Alexander. Up ahead to Osmond, and she puts it off the window. First points in 3 minutes for the Spartans.
And that's a good sign for MSU. Getting out transition, playing fast, but because they wanted to play fast, not because Ohio State sped them up. It almost seems as though both teams have slowed down their offense a little bit. More half-court play from both.
Mika Lashikova drew the blocking foul. Still no points in the quarter for Ohio State.
Ohio State getting steals and using that to play. They want to play fast. They don't want to set up. They want to get you in transition and then go back into their press.
Some of their biggest shots, like Taylor Mikesell's two threes in that first quarter, came in transition.
Of doing it.
The team on Elliott. Ricky Harris got her hands in there and draws a jump ball. A 9-point game. 5:20 left in the half. Four to shoot. Halleck to a cutting Elliott just before the horn.
That was a beautiful pass. Threaded the needle with that, and with the shot clock running down. Again, really methodical in the way they're running through their sets. You're able to set up your offense. You're able to get good and great shots, and you're also able to slow down Ohio State's offense because they're not running in transition after you turned it over with a live ball turnover.
Really nice take there for Alexander, and just like that, it's back to a 5-point game.
With that move right there, you can see why Coach Merchant is excited about Alexander. Her footwork there was beautiful, going over the right shoulder on that one.
Offensive foul. Chance for Michigan State to cut it to a one-possession game, but a turnover gives it up to Mikesell, and she puts it down. The first field goal of the quarter for the Buckeyes.
And that turnover wasn't necessarily forced. And again, Ohio State just sharing the ball once they get it, once they get the steal. Harris could have taken that for an easy layup and decided to give it up.
Theory on the home run pass, up to double figures with 10, and it's a 4-0 run for Ohio State.
And a great pass from Harris,
who picks it and takes it all the way and forces a timeout by Susie Merchant.
Helping out the young ones, pointing things out, a vocal and a visual leader.
Elliott needed that three. Rebound Alexander, and she draws a foul underneath. Mika Lashikova still on the bench with those 2 fouls. Knocked down a free throw earlier in the quarter, but then went right back to the bench. Kevin McGuff did tell us, feels like his team is even deeper this year than last year, in spite of losing a couple of players, including Braxton Miller. It says a lot about the talent on this team as Green takes it to the cup. Missed all of last year and the final 5 games of the season before that. So until the first game this season, it was more than a year that she had touched the basketball court in a live game situation. And she's averaging nearly 6 assists per game along with 10 points.
She's one of those players that I feel like is a true point guard. Just always surveying the scene, making sure their teammates are in the right position, being able to see the floor in order to give off those assists that she has been able to dish off. Obviously helpful when your teammates are shooting at a high percentage.
Joyner on the drive, and it rims out. Green looking up ahead to Mikesell, and it's out of play.
Ball handler takes one look up. There's 2 or maybe even 3 Ohio State players already down the floor.
You have to imagine there's a lot of conditioning in Kevin McGuff's practices.
Obviously, from the press to the way that they get up and down the floor, they're excited to score those points. They have to get up and down the floor.
Green, no. Walker a second chance, tied up.
You know, pats your ego.
Turnover. Here comes Tori Asman. And she walked with it. There have been many empty possessions for Michigan State in this first half. 15 turnovers for the Spartans.
Forces 28 turnovers a game. Get it to your shooters. Get it into a post player who have actually been very efficient in this game.
There you go. Beautiful press break there. And A-Rod puts it in.
They need more possessions like that. Seeing the open floor, seeing who's open, especially when she's right under the basket.
Down to Theory. Hot step to drop it down. Taylor Theory up to 12. She's averaging 11 points per game. And there's still a minute and a half left in the first half.
She has just been on today. It seemed like everything's going right for her. The ball's falling the way that it should for her.
Walker the kick out. Theory puts down a 3.
Taylor Theory for 3.
Like, you can see that student of the game mentality putting herself in this first half.
15 points on 7 of 9. .30 seconds left in the opening half. McDaniel fouled by Green.
And taking it in the paint in order to at least challenge some of the Ohio State defenders to maybe draw a foul or 2.
Ohio State can't hold for effectively the last shot of this half. There's less than a 2-second differential between game and shot.
And that's exactly what they'll do here. Michigan State needs a stop. They need a stop in order to feel good about it going into the half.
Joyner down to Osmond. And just like that, Michigan State gets it back to 10. Also picked up 2 quick fouls to start the game. Barely played in the opening half for the Buckeyes. And she defends Iselin Alexander. Here's a touch for Matilda Eck.
Again, one of your best players putting up the first shot. Doesn't go in, but get her back into the movement of the game. She's been sitting for quite some time. You want her to feel the ball, at least see the ball go in the basket early, but get those early touches as well. Shot
clock did not reset. Green sent out of bounds. 2 points off Michigan State turnovers. Mika Lashikova knocks down a three. That is her first made field goal of the game, and it gives Ohio State a 13-point lead.
That is one of the reasons why Rebecca Mikalashikova is so dangerous. Obviously, she can play in the post, but she can also step out. You have to change your defense up a little bit because you don't know if she's rolling, you don't know if she's popping. And in that instance, she popped and was able to knock it down.
Man, what a step through. The freshman making her 10th consecutive start. And it's 5 quick points for Ohio State.
She has just been determined every time she's coming down the floor with the ball, but it seems as every time no Michigan State player has stepped in front of her.
Eck. Followed her miss. Kick out to McDaniel. Largest lead of the game for Ohio State. Mikalashikova. Tap back to Green. Green rejected by Elliott. And then a foul will go against Taylor Theory. That is her third.
What position Kamari is playing, and maybe that'll give her leeway to get more buckets and score a little bit more in the second half.
Mikalashikova puts it in. And that's her second three in the last 2 minutes.
I wonder if her stepping out a little bit is a little strategic. You know, sometimes when you're inside of the paint, you get called for charges and all sorts of things. So maybe she's like, I already have two. Let's step out a little bit.
You played against Rebecca Mikalashikova, and we were talking pregame. You feel like her game is totally different now compared to when you guys were going at it in the post.
It is, and if you've been watching this team, you can see it. She's in much better shape. She can get up and down the floor, I mean, at a beautiful level. She's shooting it at a high clip. In past year, she was a little streaky, really getting inside and outside. Just a really hard matchup.
You talked about the fact that she's shooting the ball better, 20% better or more from the field and from three this year than last year. How about that rejection? Taylor Theory running the break. Ultimately fouled last night, but a great season for the Buckeyes on the volleyball court. Joyner rolling to the basket, has a chance at a three-point play. Joyner's been a bright spot. 9 points in this game. That is what she is averaging per game this year. And then an overtime loss to Purdue. They're a few plays away from having 8 wins right now.
They are, and like we talked about, a lot of them having to do with just missing the easy layup at times or not knocking down the free throw. And this one, it's the turnovers that they have to control, but definitely a team capable of clawing back in any game.
They've since lost 4 straight. Now 2 of those were against really good ranked opponents. Lost to Iowa State out of the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. And that was a story again in their loss to Georgia Tech and, of course, to Purdue. As Mike Sill misses on the front end. Elliott pops and gets the friendly roll. A 9-0 run, and it's back to single digits.
It is rolling for Michigan State right now. Again, when Ohio State can't score, they can't set up their press, which limits the turnovers that they are forcing upon Michigan State.
Ten to shoot. And an offensive foul against Alexander.
She's just been so productive on the floor. It will really be hard to take her off, especially when you're not leading. I mean, you roll with the punches, you told her to be smart, and you send her back out there.
Mike's left it out of bounds. Naz, here in Columbus. Michigan State on a 9-0 run. Dee Dee Hageman seemingly ejecting some energy into this team to start the second half.
Seems like she's coming to the game like the beginning of the game mentality, all the jitters, all the excitement, and she's exuding that energy and excitement and essentially flowing it into her teammates.
OSU scoreless over the last 2.5 minutes plus. Osment with 3 to shoot. And here comes Taylor Thury, tied a career high 15 points in the opening half.
And has been doing a little bit of defense as well, all over the floor for Theory.
6 rebounds.
It's not necessarily all of what Michigan State is doing, but it doesn't look like Ohio State is as polished as they had been in the first 2 quarters of this game. Could it be it's winding down and you kind of take your foot off the gas? You don't know, but they definitely need to get back into making the crisp passes that they were. Those passes that they were getting to aren't there like they were in the first half.
Up to Theory. And she ends the 4-minute scoring drought with a new career high 17 points.
And she is just having a day.
Back the other way. The Clemson transfer, Gabby Elliott.
What was important on that last play for Michigan State is, although Ohio State again, Michigan State will set it up, try to get something good off of a play, off of an action that they had.
A-roll into the chest of Mikolashikova. Count it and the foul. A-roll missed all of last season with a left foot injury. Susie Merchant told us this week she feels like she's really starting to get back to where she was before the injury. Played a big role on that team that made the NCAA tournament a couple of seasons ago. Here she is with 5 to shoot. Down to Elliott. Pump fake, spins around the defender and lays it in.
Michigan State just seems to be finding their footing, but they're being calm about what they're doing. They're settling into their offense. They're even eating some of the clock, which isn't a bad thing playing against such a high offense, fast-paced Ohio State team.
Green, step through, yes sir! Would this make Green up to 10 points? But you just said something, Naz, that we saw Michigan State do in the second quarter, which was slow the game down. And remember, Ohio State went seemingly 5-6 minutes into that quarter without scoring a point on the offensive end.
I mean, well, almost half of your points are, they don't want to sit in the half court and play defense, and they don't want to sit in the half court and play offense either. They want to get out and go, and then cause another turnover.
Mike Self.
And a little bit of the off arm.
Hageman the kick out. Rebound A-Rolls. Extra pass. Hageman puts it in for 3.
Ball movement, crashing the boards, it makes a difference.
5-point game. And right back the other way. Green shifting through the defense, headed back to the foul line.
Just go coast to coast every single time if nobody steps up.
They have forced 20 Michigan State turnovers.
A double-digit score. I mean, we saw it today with Theory coming out and having, I mean, her season average in the first half. You just never know who's going to come out of what bag, and they do it by turning you over and getting up the floor as quick as they do.
6 to shoot. Joyner off the bounce. What a shot. Rolling it off the window, scooping it around the defender. And Joyner is up to 13.
I think you mentioned her being a bright spot.
Yes.
You did. She makes an extra pass. She gets that layup, and she draws an offensive foul on the other side of the floor. She's doing a little bit of everything for the team, and her gets overlooked a little bit because of the star power from the J.C. Sheldon. Cut off Hageman, intentional or not. It looked intentional, so they're going to call it.
Around and down for Julia A-Roll. And it is a 5-point game again. Shot clock turned off. And Harris knew it and pulled it back out. Two to play.
That was always tough as someone left the court with an injury, especially on my team. It's, you know, that's your sister, somebody that you worked all off season with, and you know how much she's put into the season. To put them in good position. I mean, she's a true point guard, which they missed a little bit in that first half, to be able to slow the game down for them, get set up, make sure that everybody's in the right spots.
So if you're just joining us, the Clemson transfer, Gabby Elliott, went down with an injury at the end of the third quarter. She was one rebound away from a double-double for Michigan State. And there is no J.C. Sheldon for Ohio State. She is missing her 5th consecutive game tonight with a lower leg injury. Mikolashikova off the ball fake, drew a foul. Two of those players on the court right now, Theory and Mikolashikova. 5 to shoot. McMahon with 2. And great defense from Michigan State.
If you're Michigan State, you needed that one and you wanted that one.
They ended the third quarter on a 22-7 run, responding to an 8-0 Ohio State run.
And again, a team who can put themselves in a hole, but can also dig themselves out. And it'll be interesting to see how they sustain it, and that is one way that they can do it.
Julia Ayrault rolling to the cup. It's now a 3-point game. Ohio State led by as many as 18 at one point this evening.
One thing that's interesting about this Ohio State team is that although Michigan State's gone on a run, they've never looked flustered. They've never looked like they're doing something different than they have been the entire game. And a little bit of that can be the growth and the experience that this team has.
Hageman, wild shot off the back iron.
When it's a 3-point game and you're climbing back into it,
After they coughed it up 16 times in the opening frame.
it makes a difference. Ohio State can get out as soon as the turnover touches their hands. It feels like 3 other players are down the floor. You have to control that to limit their possession, to limit their touches. And now that Michigan State doesn't have to always go up against the press, they can slow things down a little bit and great shots.
That foul against Moira Joyner crashing the offensive glass. That is her 3rd.
That's something to keep an eye on. She's a feisty defender, but has also really been a bright spot for this MSU team. So definitely want to keep her on the floor.
Green, a reverse, over the shoulder, flipped it up and in.
She probed the entire time. She's surveying the scene like a true point guard, surveying and saw her moment.
Great sit pass down to Joyner, and it's back to a 3-point game.
Joyner just snuck in there. Nobody was guarding her, and I could see from this angle, her eyes got big, like, just throw it to me. I'm not going to say anything. Just look at me and throw it.
Matilda Eck picks up her 3rd.
Tips on the baseline, getting it up.
Eck with the rebound. Playing with 3 fouls, Moira Joyner, wearing number 22 for Michigan State. She is playing with 3 fouls. And a couple of Buckeyes also playing with 3 fouls. Mikolashikova and Taylor Theory. Osmond for the tie. Theory got or miss. Fresh 20 for the Buckeyes.
The difference there for Michigan State, they stopped McMahon when she was charging down the lane. Even sent 2 at her.
What a steal. Matilda Eck rolling with Mika Lashikova. Osment will try again. And a foul on the drive.
So for the next one, I probably wouldn't stand by it. But the first 2, I'm not upset about them.
They will keep Tori Osment on the floor with 4 fouls. This is pretty much the lineup that has gotten Michigan State back into the game, with Kamaria McDaniel on the bench and Dee Dee Hageman running the show after missing the first half. Coach's decision. 5-point game, 5 to play in regulation. Under 10 to shoot. Hageman, step back 3 and drew a foul on the shot.
Matt's doing a great job, everyone. And I took the rivalry serious. I mean, these were both of our rivals, and I wanted to win every single one of those games.
And while this isn't a rivalry, you and I were talking about it before the game. You look up and down the Big Ten this year. There are no easy games. They all kind of feel like rivalries because of how tight everyone plays each other.
Absolutely, from the top to the bottom. You cannot let up at any moment. I don't care what any team is ranked in the nation on the Big Ten. Once you get to Big Ten play, you have to put on your A game every single night until the season is over. Because if you let down for one game, I mean, you're going to get a loss, or it's not going to be your best performance, and you're going to just basically get out of there by the skin of your teeth.
Ohio State has yet to lose this season. One of 2 remaining undefeated teams in the Big Ten. It's them and a top 5 Indiana team. Getting all they can handle tonight against Michigan State. 4 to shoot. Mikesell doubled. Green has to heave it. And it almost banked in. McMahon gets the putback.
Those are heartbreakers. You get them to take a tough shot from a whiles away behind the 3-point line, and then you just don't finish it with the box out and the rebound.
Osment for 3. McMahon. Offensive foul. Tori Osment draws it after missing the 3. What a heady play defensively.
It was. And that's just, you have to get back. Okay, you feel sorry for yourself for a second, put your head down and get down there, set your feet, and take the charge. She knew that McMahon was coming down at full speed, as she has the entire game, and knew that was her opportunity. Sometimes you don't have to make the winning plays on the offensive end, and she showed that. Osment showed that right in that moment.
Pretty gutsy, taking a charge with 4 fouls.
Absolutely.
Joyner puts it in, and it's a 2-point game, 3:30 to play in Columbus.
Joyner has just been all over the place today. In her start, she is feeling it.
And a rejection. A-Rod blocked Green, kept it alive, tipped into the hands of Joyner.
A-Rod got out of there. She could have picked up a foul there, but elected to hit the deck instead.
Michigan State can tie or take the lead. And a travel. Osment ran into Dee Dee Hageman and gave it back to Ohio State. And that is the 21st turnover of the day for Michigan State. And Kevin McGuff wants a timeout to talk things over here. In the Big Ten tournament meeting, Ohio State really put it on them as Taylor Theory gets a much-needed bucket out of the timeout and leads all scorers with 19 points.
I was going to say, once it gets this tight in the game and this close, it doesn't matter what happened the other 3 quarters, essentially. But it does when you have a player that's been hot the entire game like Theory has been. And she has just been doing a little bit of everything for this OSU squad, and you saw that in that last possession.
McMahon right into the teeth of the defense. Theory, the offensive board. And a whistle. It goes against Michigan State.
Back up to the Buckeyes, Ricky Harris.
Well, Ricky Harris checks back into the game. Let's take a look at here. So no foul was called, but the ball went off the back of Moira Joyner with her foot on the out-of-bounds line. And so Ohio State maintains possession. Five to shoot for Taylor Mikesell. Harris a 3. For 3, knocks it down. And it's a 1-point game with 1:40 to play.
Big shot for Eck there. I mean, nothing has gone for her this entire game, but she knocks down a huge shot. And Hageman with that steal, right?
Didn't play in the first half, has been a difference maker in half number 2 for Michigan State. Hageman almost coughed it up. Joyner could have given Michigan State the lead with that shot.
One minute to play in the game, 1 minute to play.
Harris off the side of the backboard, and the rebound A-Rod, and then Harris.
I would actually like a play for Joyner. I feel like she's been doing a little bit of everything, getting to the basket, inside, outside, but at the same time, you can't go wrong with Matilda Eck. Although she hasn't really made a bunch of shots, sometimes you have to go with what you know, and that's exactly what they know, is that she can get a bucket at any moment.
Joyner with the basketball, defended by Taylor Theory. And now Dee Dee Hageman. Joyner a 3. The rebound, Ricky Harris. Off the back end, off the front end, and a timeout taken by Susie Merchant. Can they overcome number 3 Ohio State? Hageman, off the window, no. Second chance blocked by Taylor Theory. Mikesell, 17 of 19 coming into the game from the foul line. She's made all 3 to this point. And Susie Merchant will take her final timeout. Hageman, circus shot goes down off the glass. Mikesell tracks it down. Joyner went for the steal in the beginning, didn't get it, and then has to foul, and that is her 5th. So Joyner is out. Heated record on the line. And this is by far the tightest game they have played all season. Their season low in points prior to this game was 82. Credit Michigan State for finding a way and battling back into this one after trailing by as many as 18 early in the second half. No timeouts for Michigan State. Down 5. Down 4. Osmond cannot control, and it's picked off. Mikesell up ahead to Theory, and that will do it. The exclamation point. Ohio State wins it 74-68 and avoids the upset at home. Buckeyes remain undefeated